Okay, welcome everybody to the Moviecast. I'm one of your hosts, Logie Bear, and this is,
The Shininator.
and we're here to talk to you about the Iron Man trilogy and the MCU movies.
Full disclosure, we did record, or we did do about half of this podcast, and then we realized that Logan hadn't pressed recording.
It's true.
So
It's true. We do make
we're going to
mistakes.
cover some ground that we have already covered.
Yeah.
So if it sounds like we're going a little fast, it's probably
That's
we
why.
talked about it.
Yeah. So this movie is awesome. The CG in
The
it,
first Iron Man.
the first Iron Man, just Iron Man started the MCU. Really, the Big Mama, the Poppy, whatever you want to call it, really gave us something to look forward to, and it was really well done. Like it's still held together as one of the. I think one of the. It's still held together as a good movie.
Yeah.
Like people still hold it very highly.
And that's, I think that's very impressive that even, years later after Endgame, which is like the great pinnacle of all this and great movies in between, that people still look back and say, that Iron Man 1, that was a pretty good movie. I like it, and people put in like their top 5, and not everyone will, but
not everyone. And some of like 95% of this movie still looks good. Some of the animation is a little off of like the speed of how he moves and stuff, like the physics. But other than that, it's pretty solid of a movie because like they actually used like real metal and built an Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
Like there's a point where like Robert Downey Jr. is in a full suit of metal.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. So.
But even to look at something that's more CG, that when he's flying his first, his second suit, I guess, the silver one, I just said is checking all the flaps and moving parts, and it rotates around him and everything's moving around him. That looks great. Like that is impressive that still looks good.
Yes.
Years later, because we look at other movies like The Incredible Hulk, and in 2008 when the Hulk came out and we saw the Hulk, looked alright. He looked pretty good, but now it's a little bit dated, and it could have looked better. So,
yeah, and then as a character, and as an actor, Robert Downey Jr. slays this role.
Yep, through everything.
Like everything. So every line is delivered like powerfully.
Yeah. As powerfully as it needs to be.
Yes. Like when I say powerfully, I mean like to its best extent.
Yeah.
And it kind of really restarted Downey's career. He had done one movie previously. He did Zodiac, which is a great movie. You should go and watch it.
But he had done more than one movie.
But like this was his steady climb back into Hollywood after being arrested twice and being sent to prison and in rehab.
And back in the popular eyes of the media.
Yes, this was his rise back to like fame.
Do you want to hear a fun fact about RTJ?
Yeah. He
has been in at least one movie or TV show every year since 1984.
Yep.
Now, some of them are like nothing movies or shows, but
it's crazy.
Yeah.
And Marvel took a big chance on him.
Yep.
And they paid off because
high risk, high reward.
Very high reward. And it paid off well because Downey had real life experiences to pull from that were super similar to what Stark would have been going through, being like rich, but that rich guy but not having it all kind of mentality and kind of falling really far in the eyes of the media and stuff. So he plays it really, really well.
Yeah, and I like the emotion that the character has, and that we see through these movies and through even into 2019's Endgame, where most of what he does has an emotional core or foundation for it. So he really works to build relationships with people because Yinsen tells him not to waste his life. And I think you could even say that had an impact into Endgame when he has a kid.
Sure.
And I doubt that he wasn't thinking about Yinsen when he had his kid.
Well, right? I think his kid was more a reflection on how his dad probably wasn't the best dad to him, so he was probably trying to like make up for that. But Yinsen really does make a huge impact.
Yeah, but we see how he shuts everything down once he realizes that the fruits of his labor have been used for ill,
Yeah.
And he wants to shut it down because it's not worth it anymore.
Well, and he says it in the movie. He's like, I've seen American lives killed because of my weapons, and that was like the biggest thing. There's those 2 Humvees that are completely, one Humvee that's completely demolished.
Yeah.
And you can see him in the Humvee building relationships with those people, having fun, joking around, and everything.
Throwing up gang signs.
Yeah, and like and so like I think he genuinely cares for people.
And he just wants peace.
Yeah. So it's awesome, and then there's one scene that you and I both say that sticks out is like it's right after he does the Galmera mission. It's first.
I should correct you. It's a little bit later. He's working on his suit, and Pepper comes in to have him fill something out, and then he tells her to go to the office, and then she says she's going to quit.
I'm talking about a different one then.
The Galmera one. She comes in and says, "Is those bullet holes? Are those bullet holes?" And he says, "Let's figure it out. This is not the worst thing you can probably do."
And then they have the whole other conversation.
And then it cuts away. The conversation's.
Oh, okay, you're right. Yeah. Okay, we're still talking about the same moment. I just have it in the context wrong. Anyway, you can see this like absolute devotion to his cause because Obadiah and all of the people think that like he's just under traumatic stress. He like, he doesn't know what he's doing. He was just in captivity for 3 months.
Yeah.
So we'll just, whatever. And his own board of his company tries to shut him out because they don't want to quit making weapons.
Yeah.
And so like it just shows his dedication to like the emotion behind the whole Iron Man is like he wants to destroy his own weapons because he's like tired of the hurt that they cause.
Yeah.
And it's really cool.
We talked about the board checking out, which was a move that was presented by Obadiah Stane.
Yes.
So let's talk about the villain of this movie. Iron Monger.
Obadiah.
Jeff Bridges. Also, he's not really called Iron Monger in the movie.
There's one line where he's like, "We're Ironmongers, Tony." And
that was a good Jeff Bridges impression.
That's
I liked it.
Yeah. I've been working on it, but
I think Jeff Bridges was a good choice to bring in
absolutely
as a opposite of Robert Downey. He doesn't come in with the same gusto and umph that RJF does, but he feels like someone that could go or that would push.
Yes.
Tony Stark. Right.
Yeah.
So when he starts making these moves and pushing him out of his company, he doesn't feel like, I don't know that that's what you would do. No, it feels like that's what him as a character would be doing.
He's kind of scummy the first time you see him, even.
Yeah.
Like Tony comes off the plane, he has the press conference. He's like, whoa, he didn't mean that, and he just completely overturns what the owner of this company just said, and like you can kind of fish him out right then and there of just kind of like, okay, like, it's very greedy.
Yeah. If there's any sign in these movies, if someone's bald, they're probably bad. Unless it's the end credit scene.
I never noticed that, but yes.
Yeah.
Well, Yinsen was bald.
And then he died because he was bad at what he was doing.
Fair. Fair. Touche.
I actually did a great job.
You did a really great job. You let him live. But also, Obadiah also, like, he's got that big villain energy.
Yeah.
Because, like, not only does he try to overthrow Stark Industries, probably the biggest weapons manufacturer in the world, in the Marvel Universe, at that time anyway. Not only does he do that, but he also has the balls to go and make a deal with terrorists.
Yeah.
And betrays the betrays the terrorists.
Yeah. Another moment I like, and this is like a little Easter egg thing. I don't know, maybe you know this, maybe you don't. Tony comes up from his workshop partway through the movie, and Obadiah is playing on the piano. And one of the song that he's playing is this song, piano written by Salieri, who is the opposition of Mozart.
Yeah.
And Salieri actually twisted Mozart into his own death, but made him write the song for his own funeral. But then Salieri himself took the credit for it, or at least that's
the story.
Been assumed, right? Because Mozart's dead, he can't really say anything.
Yeah.
And that's the song that he's playing on the piano.
That's kind of funny.
So a little bit of foreshadowing.
That's pretty cool.
About how the guy who's kind of the opposition is working his way in to take out the big guy.
Yeah. And Ironmonger as like the first villain, pretty safe. Like good choice for Marvel not to try to go with like the Mandarin or something.
Yeah.
Because like you really have to like they had to keep it small. They had to establish like a good basis and everything, and develop who Iron Man actually is.
And the easiest way to do that, as we see in the first two movies, is you just take the good guy
and flip him.
Take what he is and just make it evil. So like looking into
To
Iron
an
Man
extent,
2,
yeah.
right? You know, the rich weapons manufacturer,
yeah.
Justin Hammer. The guy in the robotic suit, Whiplash. Boom. Now you copied it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. The motives are a little different, but yes.
Yeah.
I would agree with you.
Yeah. I like to mix it up in Iron Man 3, which we will get to.
Yeah, we'll get to. We'll get to that. Yeah. So villain's done really well. They have a really cool fight scene, and Ironmonger probably should have won that. Like, let's be real. If Pepper wasn't there, Tony dies.
Oh yeah.
Like 100%.
Also, Tony almost did die with Pepper there too.
It's true, but he
lived by a miracle.
He is dead if Pepper is not there.
Yeah.
And second of all, I want to ask you, what is Obadiah's plan? So he is in the Ironmonger. Does he think he's gonna get away? I don't understand that. Because just like as a motive, he's this white collar criminal, but jumps in an Iron Man suit and tries to fight Tony Stark, and tons of people see and everything. And it's how do you plan to get away? Like
in his defense, they're both wearing masks, so
at one point,
as long as you kill the right people, like Pepper
but then
Shield agents.
But then Tony takes out his targeting system and he takes the whole mask off.
He's on the roof at that point.
But the agents and everything are still around. Like somebody would have seen him.
He would just kill them.
I guess.
Take it over the company.
I guess.
It's not great.
No, I've always wondered.
He was definitely written to die.
For sure. Yeah, spoilers, he dies because Pepper and Tony overcharged the arc reactor and gone. So that's that. So I think we covered the villain. We'll go with his sidekicks.
Yeah.
We'll go ladies first.
Sure.
Gwyneth Paltrow
as Pepper Potts.
First of all, I love Pepper in this movie specifically. I mean, I love her in all of them. I actually think Gwyneth Paltrow is actually a good actress here. But she has some good one-liners on Tony. Like, she really gets some by him. Or, like, right at the beginning when he takes that news person home or whatever, the interviewer, and then she's like,
do everything, Mr. Stark wants, including occasionally taking out the
trash. And I was like, oh, get her! I was like, dang! Or just
I was thinking, as a 9-year-old watching that movie in theaters, right over my head, I thought you was literally talking about taking the trash.
Oh, I'm sure the first time I watched it, I didn't get that too.
But yeah, you grow up and you're like, oh, yeah, right.
And I was like, and then she gets a couple other singers on Tony, like right at the very end when he's like, "We're gonna talk about that night," and she's like, "Oh, the night where you left me," and just like left me there to be cold. And I was like, "Oh, get him!" Like it's a really cool dynamic work relationship that these two have. I mean, Tony and Pepper. Because it's like clearly they both like each other.
Yeah.
But like Pepper doesn't want to take a chance because she says it multiple times where it's like, I don't want to be seen as another one of the models.
Stark girl.
Yeah, the next Stark girl. But like Tony is actually like, no, I'm ready to actually throw all that away for you.
Yeah.
But he just is so arrogant. He doesn't know how to like tell that to her.
I also like that their romance isn't fully formed in the first movie.
Yeah.
Like it's very progressive across
all the movies. It's really not until the third one that you really actually get the sense that they're like.
No, maybe the end of the second when they're on the rooftop, but the third one has been established.
Yeah,
I would say.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Pepper does a fantastic job, and she's not useless.
No, like she kills the bad guy.
Like. She not only kills the bad guy, she sneaks into the office and steals classified information. Like, because like a lot of the time, sometimes it's like the damsel in distress. It's like Mary Jane kind of thing. It's like Mary Jane is useless in a lot of the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
But here in the juxtaposition, Pepper actually like does stuff and is successful, and it's really cool to see it.
Rhodey.
Terrence Howard, Colonel James Rhodes.
Yep.
So, if you didn't know, Don Cheadle did not always play Rhodey. After the first Iron Man movie, Marvel
didn't want to pay.
Didn't want to pay
Howard that much.
There was other things too. Terrence Howard was in other scandals and stuff, and I think Marvel just kind of cut their losses at that point. But he does a good job.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't act bad. Like, he's a good actor. I like this rendition of Rhodey. I just like Don Cheadle's performance better. Now, and I'll tell you why. Because, and I said this to you when we talked about it earlier, I love that Terrence Howard in this movie, this Rhodey is too cocky. It's almost just a copy of Tony. Just a little more respectful because he's in the military and he respects the chain of command. Like, that's the only difference really between the two of them. Whereas, I don't really want to see two jock ego heads butting heads the whole movie. Like, I was kind of like, I don't like that. This is that's not the relationship that I recognized in the comics and stuff, and just whatever. So I like Don Cheadle's performance better, where he's a little more humble and he keeps Tony kind of even keel.
Sure. But I do think Terrence Howard works really well for this movie.
Yes.
Right? And especially because he doesn't actually know that Iron Man's a thing until the last 20 minutes.
Yes.
Right? And so he finds out a little earlier, I guess.
Does find the planes, yeah.
But he's under the impression that Tony's just lost his mind. So he's like, you need to go back to making weapons, you idiot.
Well, because the military has a giant contract with Stark Industries, and Tony's getting or Rhodey's getting in trouble because he's responsible for Stark. So he's like, come on, get your crap together.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. But he does a really good job. We don't get any war machine or anything like that in this movie.
Just a very obvious hint.
Yeah, just not even subtle
foreshadowing, baby.
Yeah, he looks at the Mach 2 and he's like, next time.
And guess what, Terrence? You didn't get it.
Yeah. Cause
someone else got it.
Yeah, somebody more deserving. I mean, we get Happy. We get the beginnings of Happy Hogan in this movie. You don't even see his face. It's like one over the shoulder shot.
You see him a few times.
He's just the driver. He's like, Hogan, away, and that's it. Cheeseburgers first.
Yeah. Then
press conference. And I was like, yeah, I get it.
They had a fun little race on the way to the plane at the beginning.
Yes, They did have that one. Right.
Yeah. Happy does it. Oh, and that was the director, Jon Favreau.
Yes.
And so I think he really put his focus into making the movies.
Yeah.
And then in the third one, when he wasn't directing, he was Shane Black.
Well, in the second one too, he's in it. He's probably more in the second one than he is the third one.
I think he has a bigger role to play in the third one.
Yes. Yeah. Sure.
But his character definitely goes places.
Yeah. No, there's a little shout out. I was like, it's just the beginnings. It's just like, hey, there's Happy. That's good.
We are talking about Marvel movies as well. And we got to talk about the staple of any Marvel movie. Post-credit scene. Man, what a banger. I remember watching this 2008, and my dad said, we got to stay through the credits. And I was like, oh, great. This is boring. So let me wait through the credits. And there's this bald black dude, Samuel Jackson, with an eye patch. Is that Nick Fury? He says, I am Iron Man. Think you're the only superhero in the world? Mother flipper? No, he doesn't actually say it. And then he says, I want to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative. And oh man, did that set up hype.
Yeah.
That was so cool. And really got the train rolling for the next 5 movies.
Yeah.
Especially the next one, which we'll talk about.
And truth be told, when I watched this movie in theaters, didn't stay for the post-credit scene. I must have watched this movie 20 times on DVD as a kid and never watched the post-credit scene until I watched it when I got older and realized there was post-credit scenes.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that would have been cool to witness back then. But I think we hashed Iron Man 1. It's pretty
I think we're doing it.
Yeah.
It's good.
It is. It's good. Iron Man 2.
Now, I'm not saying it's bad. I think it's fun movie. Good.
So
it is the worst of the three.
Yes.
I think we both agree with that.
Yes. Now, I hadn't watched this movie like in years, and so I watched it, this past weekend to prepare.
Yeah.
It is not as bad as people make it out to be.
No.
Like it's actually good, really good in some parts. Some parts of it are really good, and some parts of it are like not so good.
Yeah.
But it's still overall like it's not the worst Marvel movie by far.
No.
And like it's the worst Iron Man movie, but that's kind of like saying it's the worst type of barbecue. You're still getting barbecue, like it's so. Yeah, I enjoyed this movie. Tony has really like come into his character as Iron Man in this movie. His ego is on just like full display for the world.
Yeah.
He has the Stark Expo, which is something that his dad had wanted to do, but he takes it, just blows it out of control, and like the whole thing is like centered around Iron Man, and the whole opening scene is just one big homage to him.
Yeah.
And you get the coolest superhero landing in all the superhero movies. I don't care; it's not up for debate. It's the best one. Jumps out of a plane, fist down, lands. You got the crowd going wild. You got his Iron Man dancers and the whole thing going everywhere. It's like,
so if I'm gonna make a comment about it, it's not really practical. It's really art on the knees.
Sure, but he didn't even feel it. He was in a giant metal suit. Like, who cares?
And it was totally CGI.
Yeah, oh, for sure. But just a way to kick off a movie.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you think when you watch it, you're like, oh, he's gonna go do a cool mission or something. Nope, it's him playing Tony Stark as Iron Man. Like it's like he's really milking it.
Getting hit by fireworks too.
Yeah, he does get hit by his own fireworks.
Yeah.
So it's a great way to open the movie, and the whole movie centers around the Stark Expo.
Yeah, and also him kind of failing as well, which I think is a cool story where he's literally dying because he can't figure out what to do to his chest.
Yeah. To
stop it from killing him, and he's kind of giving up. So that's why he throws these parties and he's drinking more. He's throwing this one last Stark Expo because it's probably not going to happen again. He's probably not making it to the end of the year.
Which is like, it's really kind of like sad.
Yeah.
And like, but it's done super well. It's not sad in the sense of like being bad, but like he is just like, he knows that the continued use of his Iron Man suit is going to kill him.
Yeah.
But he keeps using it because he knows it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And now, truth be told, he really doesn't use the suit all that much this movie. A lot of this movie isn't him using the suit. There's like 2-3 scenes where he uses it.
Yeah. Well, and you had mentioned sometime earlier that a lot of the first Iron Man movie is him building.
Yeah.
And they throw back to a moment in the second one where it's just him building this whole setup in his house, just demolishing his house.
Love that scene. It's so
just
good.
to build this new element, which actually in the prequel comic to the Avengers, you find out that he's trying to name it Badassium.
Yes.
But he's not allowed to do it. That's pretty cool.
But
also, it's on the little poster down there. Yeah. The origin of the triangle chess piece in these movies. And I like how it was cool because he put it into the triangle, so then he put the triangle on the suit as well. I was like, that's a clever way to do it, to have a logical reason for why it's not still a circle.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could have made it a triangle and said nothing, and we still would have liked it. But I like that they threw it in as a little bit of a reason why it was there.
Yep.
It was cool.
This movie, I like looking at Tony's character in this movie because you actually see a lot of growth in him from the last movie.
Yeah.
Like, he's a lot more mature. He still has a long way to go.
Yeah.
Don't we all? But he's like... I just remember this funny scene where him and Pepper are talking. He has his ego again. This is a lot of the movie about his ego. he's trying to hang this Iron Man painting that a fan sends him, and she's like, "You're not trying to take down the Baron Newman, blah blah blah." And he's like,
"This is art."
Yeah, he's like, "This is art," and it's just like a dictator kind of look of Iron Man, and
it was a mock of the Obama photo.
Yes,
but sure.
I couldn't. I was trying to think of the right word, like that, bust type of.
Tell us how you really feel about Obama.
No, I don't care about American politics. Anyway, but then after that happens, Pepper's like freaking out. She's like, "I got a million things to do, blah blah blah," and then Tony's like, "You're not listening to me. I'm trying to make you CEO."
Yeah.
And then he does it because he realizes it's two things. He's like, A, he's dying, so he doesn't, he can't leave his company in disarray like that, so he wants to go to somebody he trusts.
And two, she's basically...
Yeah, and 1B, she's basically running the company or whatever. Yeah. And then 2 is he's matured enough to realize that he can't do both at the same time. He wants to be Iron Man. He's made the choice that this is what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And it's really cool.
And if we want to talk about Iron Man suits, his suitcase suit on the racetrack, the only problem with that suit is that Whiplash totally should have killed him while he was suiting up.
Yes.
It takes way too long.
Yes.
But it looks really cool.
Also, what took so long? She's like, "Give me the case! Give me the case!" And she's just standing there freaking out. And I was like, "Throw him the case, woman! Come on!" And he runs around to the other side for no reason. I was like, it just was that's one of the moments in this movie where I was like, that's a bit of a clunky action scene right there. I was like, she had more than enough time to throw it.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just building tension for building tension's sake, and it didn't really work.
Sure.
But yes, that suitcase is dope.
Yeah.
Now, the animation is a little weird. In one part, some of the parts are super accelerated when he's putting it on, and then other parts aren't.
Yeah.
And it's just totally the CG is just frames quicker. It's a couple moments where it's oh, that looks a little unnatural, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Overall, awesome. He uses he only uses 2 suits this movie.
3, if you count the beginning.
Right.
So he comes in a Mark 4, then the suitcase is Mark 5, and then the triangle chest piece is Mark 6.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's awesome. This movie, the main villain of this movie, well, there's 2, but you got Justin Hammer, Sam Rockwell,
who honestly is underrated.
I love him in this movie. He is funny. He is charismatic. He kind of steals the show in some parts.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
He's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it works for some reason. Also, I'm sure you know this. Sam Rockwell originally auditioned to be Iron Man in 2008 or for 2008. And they're like, "Nah, sorry, we're gonna go with RDJ." But then they probably called him, after the first one came out, like, "Do you want to be basically the anti-Tony Stark?"
Yes.
Sure, I'll do it.
Yeah. Tom Cruise also auditioned to be Iron Man.
Yeah.
He didn't like the role, but...
Yeah, everyone puts Tom Cruise in the face when they talk about if Avengers have been made in the 90s. Yeah.
But yeah, so Sam Rockwell does I love him in this movie. He's awesome.
Yeah, he has this fun charisma like RDJ does.
Yes.
But it's so goofy and wacky, but he means it so sincerely.
And he's also just not as arrogant, or in the sense that he's not as rude with his arrogance.
Yeah.
That I don't know how to explain it, but I'm thinking of if Tony Stark had hired Whiplash to build Iron Man suits and then did it wrong.
Yeah.
You see what he does to his robots.
Yeah.
It's what would he do to a human that he could actually belittle, right? But Sam Rockwell is just a little nicer. Initially, then he gets pretty bad. But I don't blame him.
I just took your stuff.
Yeah.
How does that
make you feel?
Just sad.
Yeah. Well, and so there's this really funny scene again with Sam Rockwell where he's selling weapons to Colonel. He's selling weapons to Rhodey.
Yes.
He's like, "What do you want?" And he pulls out a bunch of different guns, and then he pulls out this little tiny rocket. It's this big.
It's the X-Wipe.
He's like, "This will bust your bunker." that was just under that you just busted.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. And then
the biggest talk up.
Yeah, and then you find out
the biggest disappointment.
Yeah. Now we have the less good villain of this movie,
Mickey Rourke. With a Russian accent.
Oh,
it's Anton Vanko.
It's
Whiplash.
It's bad. I don't like Mickey Rourke in this movie at all. Not even like. It's actually just, and I understand it's supposed to be Russian, so I'm like, I get it, but like, it's just really dumb the way that he talks, and like,
you don't like his accent?
It's kind
of racist.
I've met real Russian people; they do not sound like that. Like, so I don't know. I just didn't like the weird accent, and
it is 6 lines of dialogue.
Yeah, it's just terrible. Like, I was like, who wrote this? Like, I didn't like him. I think he has some cool moments. Like he's
a very visually awesome character.
Yes, and he acts with his body really well.
Yeah.
So that's good. He makes up for it in the lack of compelling dialogue. It just because like, and Anton, like, that character has such a cool motive because, you know, his dad Ivan Vanko was partners with Howard Stark, and Howard deports him and takes his idea, and like that sucks. And so then Anton, his son, you know, has really good motive to kill Tony Stark, and that's really cool. But he just doesn't deliver it very well, which is kind of sad. But it's still really cool. There's the fight on the racetrack is really good.
Yeah.
And you're right. He had him dead to rights, and he just didn't kill him. I was like, really?
That's also not something that you really hate the movie for. You don't watch it and say, shit died, movie sucks.
Yeah, no.
It's just something you think about later. You know? Well,
it's like an Endgame, or it's like an Infinity War, when it's like, why didn't they just sling ring his hand off, or like whatever? Like, you can always come up with it like the other way it should have been done.
Yeah.
So I don't discredit the movie for that.
War Machine is finally War Machine this movie.
Yeah, Colonel James Rhodes actually puts
on an Iron Man suit,
which
initially to put Tony in check.
Yeah. Also to steal it, because like they were getting on his butt about not handing over his technology.
Yeah, but Rhodey's also defending him in that.
Yes, but also,
and then he does get upset, and then steals the suit after putting Tony in check.
Yeah, he beats the crap out of Tony. Well, it's a pretty even fight.
Yeah, they both kind of lose.
Well, Rhodey wins.
Tony just takes longer to get up after.
Sure, I would think that's a win for Rhodey, though.
Sure.
But anyway, yeah, Tony gets super drunk on what he thinks is his last birthday party. He goes around in the Iron Man suit, and he's destroying stuff and going all crazy and whatever. He's making a mockery of everything, and he's already in trouble from the government about his suits, because he was supposed to go to the Senate Arms Committee or something. They wanted to turn over his weapons, and you get this amazing scene where he's like, "You want my property? You can't have it. But I did you a big favor. I successfully privatized world peace."
Yeah.
And it's like, dang. And it's that ego again. He's so inflated in his head that he's like, that he's done this.
Yeah. Well, at that point, it was working.
It was working to an extent. I think there's, yeah, but, and then, you know, Justin Hammer shows up, and that's where you get introduced to him, and you see that the world is trying to build Iron Man suits, and Tony hacks the screens and is all like, oh, a couple years away, Hammer, about 10.
Yeah.
And he's cracking jokes the whole time, and it's this very, like, Tony Stark meeting.
Yeah.
But it's just his ego's on full display the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's yeah.
But the War Machine suit, after it's been decked out by Justin Hammer, with the circular machine gun over the shoulder and everything coming out of his arms, it's a cool looking suit.
It does look good. I give you that.
Yeah.
And
a pretty sick name as well.
Yeah, War Machine.
Yeah. And I like how they used it in this movie, and how they kind of kept it on the back burner enough. You know, it had its time to shine, and it worked really well in the movie. Didn't overdo it.
Yeah.
That's good. because that was definitely the rest of the head face. But
yeah. Also, this movie is probably the one of the biggest world building MCU movies.
yeah, so that's my biggest problem with this movie is that most of it is a trailer for the rest of the MCU.
Yeah,
This anything with Nick Fury or that case is mostly, yeah, we're gonna do an Avengers movie. You want to be an Avenger? You can't do it unless it's on the riddle you're hurt. Think you have problems with your dad? Figure it out so you be an Avenger. And then the last.
He never once tells him that that's what's going to make him be an Avenger or anything. I never once got that.
Well, he did become an Avenger because of it. So.
But that's not displayed in the movie, though. And you wouldn't have known. We didn't know.
They went to the donut place. And Tony says, I don't want to join your boy band. And Sam says, I'm not going to make you part of it because you're too messed up.
Sure.
That's when they put Black Widow, who's also in this movie.
Well, she was put in way before.
Yeah. But they really have her keep him in check. Because Rhodey took the suit. So he can't do it.
I didn't get that impression when he gives them all of his dad's stuff or whatever. It's like, this is your challenge to get into the Avengers. Like, I never actually got that. It was actually like Nick was like, here, like, this is actually going to help you.
Yeah.
Like, I never got that impression that you did.
Yeah. Nick Fury's only in there for the Avengers.
I'm not doubting that, but I think, but that's only because you know what's coming next. If you're just watching this movie,
no, it was evident in 2010 as well.
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I'm not. I digress. It's okay. That's the one of my favorite parts of the whole movie. Is
him building or is Samuel Jackson talking to him?
That whole 20 minutes, where like him at the donut shop. They give him the shot to take the edge off, and then him and Coulson having their back and forth.
Yeah.
And then him building it, obviously, which is pretty cool. And then he goes to Stark Industries to get this big table that was the Stark Expo, what it was supposed to be.
Well, he went to go visit Pepper, and then he saw the table. Yeah.
And he totally he wanted to say sorry, but he went and bought strawberries, the one thing she's allergic to. And it's like really funny.
And he gave a real bad speech.
He did give a real bad speech.
Yeah.
But I mean, he totally misses the garbage can too. With the strawberries. Just litters them all over the place. I was like, bro, that's kind of mean.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Black Widow. This is her intro into the.
It's a cool fight scene she has in the hallway.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well, or even when she destroys Happy in the boxing ring.
Yeah.
And Pepper's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then you get all the... But, so, back to the villain stuff. Basically, Justin Hammer is mad that Tony Stark's getting all his glory, took his military contract away from him because he made him a fool at the Senate Arms Committee and all this stuff. So he's like, you know what? I want to build 100 million Iron Man suits
for the Army.
For the Army and the Air Force and the Navy and everything.
Yeah. And
so he enlists Whiplash. He breaks him out of jail to get him to do it. But Mickey Rourke has his own plans, and he builds drones, unmanned drones, instead of putting pilots in it.
Yeah.
To destroy the Stark Expo and kill a bunch of people and stuff.
And take out Tony.
Yeah, kill Tony.
They had very similar missions. They just decided to fight each other on it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, and so then you have this, at the very end, you have, like, all of the drones turn, and they're, at the Stark Expo, and they're gonna kill all these people, and then Tony swoops in, and with his brand new suit and everything, and he distracts all the drones, makes them fly away, and everything, and
a pretty sick fight scene in the dome as well.
Yeah.
Tony, him and Rhodey have the best moment of banter before all the drones show up as well.
Yes.
What are you doing? Oh, I'm gonna go up there. No, you don't go up there. Stay down here. No, you don't stay down here, Tony. This is the kill box. This is where you go to die.
And then he's like, the biggest gun should go over there.
Yeah.
And then they both walk over there.
No, I have the big gun. No, I literally have a big
gun. Yeah. And that's that banter I like.
Yeah.
And it's really awesome. That's one of those really good character beats that is just like, it's unbeatable.
Yeah, and that I think really highlights on their friendship.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're just buddies. They're not like two guys that don't work together or two guys that know each other. Like they're bantering friends, right?
And they genuinely want to like succeed here too.
Yeah.
Like it's not one of them putting their ego in front of the other. They're doing that because they're friends, but they genuinely want to like destroy these drones and win, and you see that come through, and it looks awesome. And then Tony has like the coolest gadget that we've never ever seen used again, and I'm so sad.
Which one?
The lasers when he makes everybody
duck. Used multiple times,
but not like that big cool spin move.
He hasn't
thing
spun
that he does.
them, but
yeah, we see him use those lasers, but we never see him do that cool spin move.
Yeah, sure.
That's what I want to see. You can think about when he's battling Ultron, bro. All around like the. Well, I guess he was busy fixing the core thing at that point. So anyway, I just wish you could have seen that more. And then Rhodey's like, "Why didn't we start with that?"
Yeah.
He needs to charge up. And then he gets smart too, because and this is where Tony's like nerdiness comes in again. He like loses basically to Whiplash almost the first time, like or barely beats him, and because like the whips were like draining his power.
Yeah.
But then he gets smart the second time he battles him and just steals all the power.
Yeah.
And he like he thought about it, and he beat him.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Him and Rhodey beat him with the power of friendship by shooting at each other.
Yeah, it's like an anime movie.
Yep.
And then that's
post-credit scene. This is when they really started advertising the next movies. Coulson, who had left partway through the movie, to New Mexico for something. I wonder what it was. Oh, there's a hammer in the ground.
Yeah.
Probably for the Thor movie that came out a few months later. And in fact, it was.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Good post-credit scene though.
Yep. Quick, effective.
Built a lot.
We didn't talk about the end of the movie yet. Tony Stark does not get recruited to the Avengers in this movie.
He does not.
Which a lot of people forget. They actually kick him out of the Avengers and say, yeah, you're not actually part of this. But we're going to hire you as a consultant so you can help decide who goes in and doesn't. Which totally gets thrown out the window in the Avengers movie.
Yeah. It's basically we want your money and your expertise without giving you the title.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Which we see in use once in another misunderstood scene at the end of The Incredible Hulk, where he tries to recruit the Abomination, which is a villain in the Hulk movie, into the Avengers. But evidently it did not work.
It did not work.
Yeah.
That's pretty much Iron Man 2. Wrap it up, it's not as bad as you remember. Go back and watch it.
It's still the worst one.
It's still the worst one. Now.
Iron Man 3. A twist.
All is right in the world when I'm watching Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Shane Black, director. Normally does like horror movies. And like different,
Well, he's done a horror movie.
But like he definitely has a very distinct style.
Christmas time.
Yep. And it's not really in full force in this movie. It's kind of just hinted at.
And the fact that there's snow.
There's snow, and it's not even in that much of the movie either.
Yeah.
But I got a disclaimer. I'm going to be biased towards this movie right now because it is my favorite one.
There's a plane flying over our house right now.
Yeah.
I didn't know we were on a flight path.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to be completely biased, but this is my favorite one out of all three of them.
Yeah.
And I know that opens me up to so much ridicule, and I'm fine with it.
I think more people have accepted it as a good movie since, but when it came out, it
was wildly
critiqued harshly.
But the movie opens with this voiceover of Tony Stark talking about demons and how you make demons and you make mistakes and your past will come back to haunt you. And we have him in 1999 in Bern, Switzerland.
Yep, where we get to see Yinsen. Ho Yinsen.
Yeah, Ho Yinsen.
Again, and nice fulfillment of the Easter egg.
Good little
or the hint
payoff.
that they showed in the first movie.
Yeah, he says, I met you once. Yeah. So you get that, and then he, has fun or whatever, and he meets this botanist girl who's
played by Rebecca Hall.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. Yeah, she basically is like trying to regrow plants. And so
eventually humans.
Yes, but she wants to regrow organisms.
Yeah.
And she asks Tony for help. He goes up there, drunk as heck, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, and in the elevator, there's this nerdy person that walks up to him.
Played by Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce. And he's all like, literally like a typical nerd, like pocket protector, big rimmed glasses, like.
Yep.
And he's like, "You want to join my company? Blah blah blah. It's called AIM." Gives him a
advanced idea mechanics.
Yeah. It's a think tank, and Tony's like, "Oh yeah, I'll meet you on the roof in 10 minutes or whatever."
Yep.
Never shows up. Totally just to get rid of the kid. Jerk move.
Yeah.
And this is way back in 1999 when Tony wasn't a humanitarian and like not Iron Man. So anyway, he goes up, bangs this, has a lovely night with Rebecca Hall, and solves her equation because the plants explode mostly. And as drunk as a skunk, and he does it. And there's a funny scene with Happy comes in right as the explosion happens with a nice mullet, and he's like a minute late on the explosion, but he jumps and tackles Tony down.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then he's all this voiceover stuff, and you got the modern day. I don't know why I don't want to go through the whole plot. I could, but I won't.
Oh, please do.
And then Tony is the biggest thing with Tony in this movie is he's dealing with PTSD for reals this time after the events of New York in the first Avengers movie.
Yes.
Where he flew into a wormhole in space and almost died.
And faced an entire alien army.
Yes. So, you have that, and then you see this throughout the entire movie with, like, it's this underlying theme. Him and Rhodey are having lunch, and these kids walk up to him, and they're asking him questions about New York, and they want him to sign stuff. And he just literally has a panic attack and has to leave. And stuff. So, it's this really underlying theme throughout the movie of this PTSD. And it comes up a lot.
Yep.
And then...
And they deal with it really well,
too. They do deal with it really well.
There was clearly some understanding of what PTSD looks like.
Yes.
I mean, obviously it's worse in different cases, but they...
And it's not over-glorified.
No.
That's the... Like, it's not to the point where, like, the whole thing is about PTSD, but it's also not like every time he does it, he has these raging anxiety attacks and everything where he has to, like... It's not glorified.
Yeah.
It's actually, like... it's awesome. Not the PTSD, the rest of the movie's not. Him and Pepper are, like, live together. They're fully a couple. It's kind of...
He buys her a very big bunny.
Very big bunny. And this whole movie is, like, him wanting to, like, protect Pepper. Like, that's a huge underlying theme of this movie. Because he's seen aliens. He knows what's out there.
Yeah.
And all he wants to do is protect the world.
Yeah.
And so you have that, like, through the whole thing. And I don't remember what mark he was on, but he's built, like...
the last one he built was 42.
Yeah, he's built 42 versions of Iron Man.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. Like, he doesn't sleep. It's crazy. And so, but the best thing about this movie, we get to see Tony Stark actually be a hero without being Iron Man.
Yeah.
It strips him of his
suit. Without the suit.
Yeah, well, that's what I said, without being Iron Man.
But he would say, as he does at the end of the movie,
sure,
that he doesn't need the suit to be Iron Man.
Sure, but we're not there yet in the story, so...
Yeah, he doesn't need the suit to be a hero.
Doesn't need the suit to be a hero. And so, there's the Mandarin, whatever, it's a terrorist organization, it's taking over the states, one by one.
And one of them blows up Happy Hogan.
Yes.
Within an inch of his life.
Yes.
And in a fit of rage, Tony threatens the Mandarin on live TV and shares his home address.
Yes.
10880 Malibu Point, 90265.
And it's this ego. It's Tony's inflated ego.
Well, this was more of an emotional reaction.
But it's like, but that's how he expresses his emotion is through this like super egotistical, rage-filled manner. And we see that in a lot of the movies going forward. And so then he calls out the Mandarin, and the Mandarin comes and blows the crap up out of his house. And this is Tony has been working on. I don't know what he calls it, but it's the technology where he can call the Iron Man suit to him.
Yeah.
And so this shot was spoiled in the trailer, and it ticked me off. So the Mandarin's destroying the house, and Tony does this cool like dab looking thing, and he sends the suit on to Pepper.
Yeah.
And like protects her, but then Pepper also saves him, and it's really cool. But they blew they showed that like him throwing the suit onto Pepper in the trailer. And I was like, no, wait and show that in theaters. That would have been so much more hype.
Yeah.
But he builds this suit, whatever.
I think it was actually that scene. Robert Downey Jr. actually hurt himself.
Yes.
In the making of this movie, and they used a body double for a ton of it.
Yes.
And I think it was that scene when he hurt himself and had to take a few weeks off of filming.
Yeah. Yes. And then, whatever, the Mandarin attacks, he saves Pepper. And then he
tries to save himself.
He takes out 3 of the helicopters.
Yeah. The last one, which also took out him.
Yeah. And then he gets in his Iron Man suit and he flies away, just barely. But he already charted a course to Tennessee.
Yeah.
So that's
because of a clue that Happy had left.
Yeah.
At the explosion site.
Yes. So he goes to Tennessee, whatever. Then we meet the sidekick of this movie, really.
Yep. Ty Simpkins. That's the actor.
Yeah.
What's his name? Harley?
We never learn his last name. Harley. It's this, this cute little Charlie Brown little looking boy. And he is kind of a nerd like Tony, and he gets bullied, and Tony instantly picks up on it.
Yep.
And, there's some real funny scenes between the two of them. Where, like...
when he ditches him after the...
Yeah, I was going to wait for that one. But, like, Tony crashes the Iron Man suit, and he's going to go save it or whatever, so he pulls it into town. And you can see the struggle on his face. Like, he doesn't have his suit, he's cold,
Jarvis is dead.
Jarvis is dead. So, whatever, he meets Harley, and he steals his kid's workshop and goes and lives in there. He's squatting in it. And he comes in with a potato gun.
Yeah.
And then he talks, you're too wide of the barrel, you're not going to get the PSI you need. Kid shoots it and breaks the glass. He's like, could be wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway, they create this relationship, and Tony uses him to get stuff and further his goal of getting back to fighting the Mandarin and stuff. And
they have a good chemistry as well. Throughout the movie.
Yeah, throughout the movie, yeah. He really uses them in some good ways. And then you have, basically the reason Tony was going there, like I said, there was a clue. People are blowing up. Yeah. There are explosions happening, but there's not an answer for it.
Yeah.
So, Tony goes to look for it, and this is kind of where we meet our villains of the movie.
Yes.
Kind of. We see them once before, but not using their, like, extremis powers yet. Yeah. This is the first time you see them doing it with Tony. I guess he uses it with Happy. But anyway, this botanist lady chick, the villain, I'm going to call her a villain because she was working with the enemy. She sold her explodey plant technology, her extremis technology. Her regenerative.
Yeah.
To AIM. Dun dun dun! The nerdy kid that Tony left on the roof.
Yeah.
Becomes
looks a lot hotter.
Yeah, and becomes Aldrich Killian, and he wants to destroy Tony Stark.
Yeah.
And so he uses the Mandarin as a whole ploy.
Also, the Mandarin is threatening the U.S. over the TV.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We might as well just spoil it. We might as well talk about the villains now. The Mandarin, as you see on TV, this...
Ben Kingsley.
Yeah, this is Ben Kingsley. Trevor Slattery is the character's name.
Yeah.
He's an
actor.
He's an actor. And that's... Aldrin he pays him to display this like terrorist-like character on TV so that Aldrich can do all the work of a supervillain without having the face of it.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the villain, and
big twist when you find out it's not actually the Mandarin too.
Yeah, yeah.
It was in 2013, and if you haven't seen it, it probably still would be now.
Yeah, yeah. And he does, yeah, it's really cool. And so this also adds to the subplot of the movie with Rhodey. Rhodey's no longer War Machine anymore. He's Iron Patriot. And I love the red, white, and blue on him personally.
Yeah. Iron Patriot, who's traditionally Norman Osborn in the comics. So they added a bit of a twist.
Yes.
in the movie.
They just renamed him. That's all it is. He's still War Machine, just with a different paint job. That's literally what they say in the movie.
Yeah.
And so then basically
he's through the whole movie they make fun of the fact that Iron Patriot isn't cool.
Yeah.
And they should still be War Machine.
Yes. And Rhodey is tasked with protecting the president because this Mandarin is out there, and so they need Colonel James Rhodes as War Machine to protect over Iron Patriot. And Iron Patriot is tasked with protecting the president, and he does that by single-handedly trying to take down the Mandarin. So he goes to like all these different places and frees a lot of slaves, a lot of sweatshop workers, and that's Grace's subplot. And so you get the sidekick, Rhodey, and you got our villains, and Tony's suit's completely destroyed, and it is just And Pepper kind of isn't in this movie a lot.
But she gets kidnapped pretty early.
She does get kidnapped.
Like a third of the way through.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, she gets kidnapped. And then Tony, again, doesn't have a suit, whatever. These AIM people that are working for the enemy, they show up in this Tennessee town looking for Tony, and this is the character of Tony Stark, man. Not Iron Man Tony Stark. He has to use his wit and his smart and his like engineering to like get out of it.
Yeah.
So these people who essentially look like they can't die, they're like trying to kill him and they can melt stuff. I don't know. Their powers are really not explained very well. Anyway. Tony's getting chased after them, so like he dives behind a counter, turns on the gas, spills like stuff all over the floor, so when the person walks by and lights on fire, it explodes. And it's like
two separate things.
Two separate things. Whatever.
He opens the gas and then throws dog tags in a microwave, so it explodes.
Sure. Yeah, but it's like this ingenuity. It's this thinking that got him to be Iron Man in the first place. Like he's kind of coming back to his roots of like using science and engineering to like get his way through. And you see that multiple times, even in this scene alone. Then the big baddie, that is an Aldrich Killian, the bald dude, comes up to him. He's like, my. He's got Tony's little kid hostage.
Yeah.
Harley hostage. And he's like, my, not so smart now. And then Tony's like, the funny thing about us smart people, we always come prepared. He flips up this like little tiny repulsor that he like built. And he like shoots him in the face and blows his head off.
Yeah.
And it's awesome, and you see this amazing ability of Tony Stark to use his
murder
mind.
people. Yes.
No, he didn't die there. He comes back.
Yeah, but luckily for him.
Yeah. Oh,
I was gonna kill him later.
I was gonna get to that. Tony's right up just actually murks people in this movie.
Yeah.
Like shoots a dude in the head, like with a gun.
Yeah.
Like
he's been killing people in all these movies, really.
Yeah, but this was Iron. He was Iron Man and he's killing people. This one he was like straight up. Anyway.
Yeah.
Kills a dude. Him and Harley have this funny moment where he's like, I want to come with you, and I'm cold. It's like, well, I don't care, and he drives off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really funny and whatever. But you see this, like, he cares about the kid.
Yeah, especially we see at the end of the movie.
Yeah, especially at the end of the but you see he genuinely cares about this kid because he helped him, and he sees a lot of himself in him.
Yeah.
And he drives away, and he somehow ends up in Miami, Florida, in, like, a day, which he's driving from Tennessee. I don't know the distance, but it seems like not possible, but whatever. And
you probably do it.
Sure. And then and so then he's driving, and he's trying to get. I'm missing a scene in here. Whatever.
You've been jumping around, so I don't know what you're thinking.
I was just gonna get to the next big action scene of like. He has this is where the next part you see is PTSD. He's on the road, and he's pulled over, and he's talking to Harley because he wants to know if his Iron Man suit's charging.
It's not working.
And it's not working. And he's freaking out, and then Harley's like, I didn't even mention New York. He's like, but you just did! And he starts freaking out, and he's having an anxiety attack, and you just, again, you see his PTSD, and it looks so good. Like, it's done so well, and then he's like, why don't you're a mechanic, right? Why don't you just build stuff?
Yeah, so he does.
And he builds a whole arsenal of weapons.
Playing grenades out of Christmas ornaments.
Made a taser hand out of an elf glove.
Yeah.
He made 2 silenced pistol things out of like
compressed air.
Yeah. And he completely.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. The action in this movie is so well done.
Yeah.
But And then he takes over the compound where all of his friends are being held and finds out that the Mandarin isn't the Mandarin, whatever. And it's this like cool moment because he's like ready to kill people.
Yep. He does.
Yeah, like he's like, it's a total character shift from like the beginning. He's like, I'm gonna kill you. You took Rhodey, all this stuff, happy, like everything is like,
yeah,
everything is taken away from him. So he's like, I'm gonna fight back for it, and he does. And he kills people, and never really. And then you have this Shane Black injecting some comedy into the movie when he's strapped, like when he's captured, and he's like, man, you just better wait until I get out of this thing.
Yeah.
And then what he's doing is he's calling his Iron Man stuff from Tennessee to come and save him.
Using the little microbes in his flesh.
Yes.
That's a cool action scene. When only one glove and one boot come.
Yeah.
And he's spinning around. That looks pretty good.
Yeah. It's like that little Uzi.
Yeah. That's exactly those things.
Good noise. Yeah. And then he does the bot. Oh yeah, and then Aldrich Killian kills the bad guy kills the botanist lady.
It
blows her
one
off.
bullet, just boom.
No, I thought he exploded her neck. It doesn't matter.
No, she was threatening to
right.
explode herself.
Right. Okay.
And then he just shot her.
He shot her. Yes. And then he's like, no, because I had one night stand with you 20 years ago.
Yeah. Well, he almost won her back to the light side of the Force.
He did almost do that, but and then I feel like
the oil rig. When all of Tony's suits show up, the house party protocol.
Yes.
Very cool. Iron Man action scene. It's even funnier because Rhodey wants a suit, but Tony won't give one to him. Well, and that's actually cool too because we could see Rhodey doing some genuine,
army mechanic stuff.
Like working with a gun and being stealthy. Oh, as stealthy as he can. He's not that great at it.
Well, and then we have that banter between them again.
Yeah.
They're crawling around and it's like, well,
and then Tony tries to shoot at the light and empties a mag and he can't do it. He says, you can't hit a light from this distance. And you're already one shot and does it.
Well, and I'm even talking about when they first get on the oil rig and he's like, what do you want me to do? Get behind me. Don't shoot me in the back. Yeah. Like, stay at my six, cover me, got it. And Tony's like, gotcha.
You looking up? Yep.
Yeah, it's really funny. Oh, and basically the president is kidnapped. That's the whole reason they're at the oil rig. Is Aldrich Killian took over the Iron Patriot suit.
Yeah.
Is because
stole it.
They stole it. He melted Colonel James. He melted Rhodey out of it, and you get this amazing Superman punch from Don Cheadle.
Yeah.
I don't remember what he says. He ejects from it. He just boom nails this dude in the face.
And then Aldrich breathes fire.
That's so.
And then kind of like pushes him on the ground.
Yeah, that's so weird. Yeah. But they save the president, and Tony has.
Spoiler alert. I'm sure you didn't see that one coming.
They said, well, Rhodey saves the president like Indiana Jones style.
Yeah. Like,
jumps onto this thing and shoots the cable and swings him off into victory.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Then Tony's got like this is one of my biggest pet peeves in action movies. And I said it once on the podcast and I'll say it again. I hate it when like you clearly only see like 15 suits show up.
There was way more than 15.
I'm thinking of that wide shot. It doesn't
There's like 30.
Okay, I don't remember. I'd have to find it again. But it just seems like there's like 400 of these suits flying around. And there are only 42 of them in the world made. So it's like there could have only been 41 of them there.
There would have been, because 6 blew up when they blew up the house. And then 42 came later. So 42 minus 6 is 30.
But one of them was destroyed, so
36.
35.
Yeah. So 35 suits showed up.
Okay.
That took me way too long to do math.
Okay, then I'll digress. Maybe if all 35. Okay. It just, I hate that in movies when like when you see like this shot of like 50 people.
Yeah.
And then like you see the next scene and it's like 200 people charging in a battle and you see all the I just like hate it. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. But anyway, they don't do it in this movie. I retract my statement. You're correct.
Thank you.
And then whatever, it's awesome. And you have like the different, and he's got names for all of them. And after the movie was done, I started looking up the names of the suits that he calls out to, like, because each of them serve a purpose.
Yeah.
He's got Igor
to hold up the oil.
He's Igor, go and balance this thing, and it's just a giant thing with a metal spine digs into the ground.
Yeah, looks very Hulkbuster-esque.
Yeah.
And when they showed it in the trailer, we thought that it was Hulkbuster, but then it wasn't.
Yeah. It wasn't. Well, yeah, he's got red heart, or I don't know. He's got a couple names. Red Snapper, and it's really cool. You see him use a different one, well, different abilities. There's that really cool one that breaks apart, and rockets into the thing, and then comes back together.
Yeah,
it was kind of reminiscent of Transformers, just in some of their design.
Sure,
not that matters, but you see, like Tony, like do all this work to finally get all of his suits back, and he just demolishes everything.
Yeah, and then after they win, because again, spoiler, if they win, you probably didn't see it coming. He blows up all his suits like fireworks. Oh, but it's Christmas.
Oh, but we totally missed the part where Pepper saves his life.
Yeah. Also, that she has Extremis in her.
Yeah. She Tony goes to save her, fails, thinks she's dead, just thinks he kills Aldrich Killian, doesn't, tosses him into the biggest explosion ever, somehow survives.
Yeah.
And then Pepper, out of that same explosion, walks out in way less damage, picks like up a bow staff thing, and like just destroys him.
Yeah. And then Pepper kicks the new improved X-Wife missile and blows it up with an Iron Man arc rip or glove impulsor.
Well, she jumps up and she like rips out.
Yeah.
And then it's awesome. It's super cool. It's totally not Gwyneth Paltrow at all, but it's really cool. And then he blows up all his suits as a Christmas present.
Yeah.
What's the protocol called? I don't remember. The clean slate protocol. Clean slate. Blows them all up, and that's the end of the movie. And he's somehow over.
Gets all his shrapnel out of his chest, which we didn't talk about in the first one, but.
I feel like that's the whole he gets the shrapnel out and he solves the Extremis problem of them exploding, and that's it.
Yep.
That's the end of the movie. It's Christmas time. They celebrate.
Post-credit scene.
I don't know which one was this one.
It's pretty funny. All the voiceover that happened in the movie, we create our own deals.
Yeah.
It's actually him in a therapy session with Bruce Banner. But Bruce Banner isn't that kind of doctor, so he just fell asleep for the whole story.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. A nice bit of comedy.
Yes.
And tie back to the fact that Tony and Bruce are just best buds.
It's true. Yeah. Best of buds.
Science bros.
Yeah. The character of Tony Stark in this movie is what really makes it for me.
Yeah.
That's why I love seeing
I think he makes all the movies, really.
But this one, for me specifically, the type of character he is what sells this movie for me. Of like being a hero without the suit and stuff.
Yeah.
Which I honestly am wondering if that's a little bit of a callback to the Avengers.
In which moment?
Where Tony's like,
oh, and Cap.
Yeah. Take that suit off. What are you?
Yeah.
You know?
A murderer.
Like, he does straight up murder. Captain America's murdered people.
Yeah, well,
they all murdered
people. Joking around.
I know.
Yeah.
I love it. Good, great, like...
Good movies. Good movie. Yep. It's a fun trilogy. Very, there's a nice progression of character. And, I mean, it goes on past 6 movies. We'll get to it.
I was going to say, we really could have just analyzed Iron Man as a character. Throughout this movie, because you see even more growth from this movie on, because he really grows up.
Yep.
But it's awesome, and you see
that's nice. This is the first trilogy they finished, Marvel. What a trilogy to start us off, eh?
Yeah.
More come. More have come. More will come. Some are in the progress.
Yeah.
Ant-Man's not done yet. Guardians isn't done yet. Thor had a trilogy, but now they're making more, so it's more of a Thor saga.
Do you really think they'll make a third Ant-Man one?
They are making one.
We're not even talking about this later. Yeah. But,
this has been the Iron Man trilogy in review. Thank you for watching.
make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. And if you want to catch us live, well, make sure you go and follow twitch.tv/LoganBear74. Also, if you like and want more movie reviews and content, make sure you check out the Shininator on Facebook.com/Shinman's List. You can find written reviews of pretty much all of these movies dating back for a while. Maybe 2017.
Not these movies.
Not these ones, but if you want more up to date of the current movies and everything, go and check him out. And be sure to share this around with your friends and get more people in to enjoy the Moviecast. So,
yeah, see you.
Thanks, everybody.
See you next week.
See ya.